full seismic review. We are getting started a couple minutes late, but I appreciate your patience, and I'll officially kick off the meeting now. The purpose of this meeting is to discuss the North Anacola seismic and structural analysis, highlighting the February 23rd, 2015 submittal by Dominion. This is a Category 1.
Mute on.
Invited to observe or listen to this meeting.
Mute on.
To communicate with the NRC after the business portion of the meeting is adjourned. Please contact me if you have a need for a feedback form, if you want to provide feedback. My email address, most of you know, but is Perry Buckberg, Perry Buckberg, BUCKBERG at NRC.gov. Contact me and I'll send you what you need, or you can just go to the NRC website. Logistics for the folks in the room: you'll need to be escorted to restrooms, which are right outside the door. If there's a fire, staff down the stairway to escape the building, which we did as a drill last time we had a public meeting. That was kind of fun. And we'll help you with that stuff. I'll go through introductions now. Again, my name is Perry Buckberg. We're going to start with folks in the room. More detail. My name is Perry Buckberg, and I'm a project manager for the review of the North Anna 3 combined license application.
Jim Shea, NRC staff. I'm another project manager helping Perry with the review for North Anna.
Manas Chakrabarty, I'm the structural engineering branch review in North Anna 3.
James O'Neill, also structural engineer, review North Anna 3.
George Wise, structural engineer review North Anna 3.
I'm James Su. I'm the chief of a structural engineering branch responsible for structural engineering.
Alidot Hashemi, I'm the director of Dominion. I'm a seismic engineer.
I'm Wei Wang, geotechnical engineer, NRC reviewer of the North Anacola.
Becky Ferris, Chief Geosciences and Geotechnical Engineering Branch, NRC. Lisa Walsh, Geophysics.
David Hizo, Seismologist, NRC.
James Haldeman, Licensed Geotechnical.
John Waddell, Dominion, North Anna 3 Engineering.
Tina Borge, Dominion, Licensing.
Doug Kemp, Professional Project Engineering.
Patricia Campbell with GEH.
Anybody on the phone supporting Dominion, please identify yourself.
This is Skip Shumitz with G. Hitachi, a project manager on North Anna site, and with me is Lubin Todorotsky, civil structural engineer with G. Hitachi.
Steve Rouse from Bechtel.
Nick Greger and Jim Maroney from Bechtel.
Please, I'm recording.
Anybody from other government entities on the phone?
Art Warren, Virginia Department of Emergency Management.
Barbara Moore Scruggs, Virginia Department of Emergency Management.
Any members of the public on the phone?
Mute off.
Erica Gray, Henrico, Virginia, Virginia Sierra Club.
David Martin, Chester, Virginia.
Anybody else who didn't introduce themselves, please identify yourself.
Kimberly Davis, citizen.
I'm sorry, your first name was?
Sure, Kimberly.
Thank you, Kimberly.
This is Jeremy Artoon with Floor.
Anybody else? Okay, appreciate the introductions.
Mute on.
Meeting with Dominion, going through their presentation slides, and I'll turn it over to Dominion.
Okay. Good morning. I'm Gina Borge. Thank you all for joining us. We appreciate that. I have a speaker here.
Okay.
Can you keep on the phone hear me okay? Jim Maroney, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
So as you all know, we came today to talk about what we submitted in February. Basically, slide 2, if you all have that, has the agenda. So we did a brief introduction. We're going to talk about the REI responses that we submitted in the February transmittal with the markup. We're going to talk about the questions that some of you all had that Perry sent us last week. And we're going to go over, just summarize the meeting, go over our schedule for what's coming the rest of 2015 into the NRC, and then we'll talk about any action items that we have from this meeting. Okay? So slide 3, as you all know, we submitted the seismic closure plan to the NRC October 22nd of plan. The changes that we described in the plan, this is what we told you last time we met. They meet the NRC requirements and the guidance. They're also addressing any questions, comments that we received from the reviewers in the previous meetings that we had. We're using the methodologies for the site-specific analysis that are specific to the North End 3 site conditions. And we changed the methodology that we had used in this seismic closure plan. We're changing the methodology that was used in the December 2013 submission in order to address some of the concerns that you all had and make it more consistent with the methodologies that were used in the DCD. And as I think most of you know, we're also using the new ground motion model that was developed by EPRI in this new set of submittals that we're making in 2015. So, with that, let's talk about the REIs. I'm going to turn it over to Bechtel, the SMEs that helped prepare the REI responses. These responses are the ones that were submitted in the February transmittal letter, okay, that you all have. So before we go through those, I should ask, does anyone have any questions?
Let me make one comment. Everybody, if you don't realize, those are little speakers you can speak into. You don't have to speak into the central phone. There's a lot of necks getting stretched, so it's not that hard.
Okay. So, the first REI that we're going to go over is 253 REI, and I think Jim is doing this one.
No, I'm
Ollie Doug, I'm sorry.
Okay. So this REI, the topic was 1D site response analysis, justification for doing 1D site response analysis. The inputs that we provided for that site response analysis in terms of soil profiles, we consider profile 1 and 2 that are developed in section 254 of FSAR, and the randomization and the justification for the approach for considering site variability. In this update that we did, because our input rock motion was changed, we had to go back and redo the sensitivity studies that we had done for that effort, use the new ground motion. So that portion of the response is updated. And also in the response, we're comparing the weighted average DRS that we get for each one of the boreholes. If we look at them separately and randomize them separately, come up with the DRS in each one of them, and then come up with the weighted average of the DRS. It's just an alternative approach. And we compared that to the GMRS that we had calculated using our approach, using the two soil columns that we had considered. And that comparison, again, is updated because the response spectra are not there.
Two soil column is not for what?
So we have one soil column for RBFD and another soil column for control. And the RBFD soil column includes all three of these velocity measurements that are within the power plant building. The control building only includes one of them, which is within the footprint of control building.
Iron water storage, that is different or same?
It uses the same borehole that is included in the control building. So it's similar, very similar to control. So all of those thoughts and comparisons are updated just because the rock motion was updated.
Let me ask you that. So the reactor building, then water source building, in the middle is a control building, right?
Right.
So you're saying that the fair water storage building and the reactor building are the same for the columns for the control?
No, No. Control building and fire water.
Just one point of order. If you're going to ask a question, just state your name and you're from the staff, so that people on the phone can know who we are, what the question is from.
Thanks, Jim. So all the other information that they're provided in the RAI, the justifications, they remain unchanged. Any other questions?
This is which
252-3. Slide number.
And then there is another question.
Right. So for the next one, 2526, this is sort of complementary to the previous RAI. It asked us for the location of the 5 velocity measurement boreholes. It asked for the soil columns we used and clarifying whether or not we envelop those soil columns to come up with the GMRS justification for the approach that we provided, and also electronic. It asked us to provide electronically the site amplification for GMRS. And again, in the response, we updated, obviously, the DRS coming up from each one of those 2 soil columns was updated. The sensitivity studies that we had done was updated because the rock motion was changed. And also the electronic data that we provide, the site amplifications are slightly different because the rock motion is updated to the April 2013.
Now, this is my stuff for work. When I was looking at all those figures, in that section 2, I really did not see PBRS or partial embedment situation. Those figures.
PBSRS is check for partial embedment case, and I can.
No, all I'm saying is
but for the purpose of coming up with the site SSE that we want to, those are coming from the full column, and they are emphasized more because.
Yes, but you use this, what I wanted to say, the 3.7.1, right? That all this, some things like that have been done in 2.5. Okay. Right. So I went there and I couldn't find it. Okay, for partial CBS and others, I could find. So I just wanted to mention that. Okay. And I understand now that this primarily to check NEI. Probably have provided it somewhere else.
It's in the NEI check slides in 271. They are provided, nothing somewhere. Any other questions for 2526?
This is James Su from NRC. Someone take a note to make sure the action item. Okay.
That's what I'm doing.
Okay, yeah. Just to make sure that there's something staff couldn't find on the note. I think that's a piece of information we'll have to figure out how to provide that to staff.
Do you want the? Are you?
No, I mean if the information already included in the app, sorry, just happen to be the location in 371, which reference the PBSRS, maybe point to the wrong section, or maybe just to the right section.
Confusing,
maybe the misunderstanding or whatever, that needs to be clarified. Someone needs to take action.
This is Jim Shea, staff. I was going to emphasize that myself. As we go along and we get these issues where the staff can't find something, then it's either provided or it's something maybe we'll have to take back and provide it to make this thing more efficient. That's the purpose of the meeting, is to get the information staff needs. Now, in this particular case, you're saying that this information is in the FSAR in section 3.71?
Probably, yeah. But
okay.
But it's back to 2.5, so we thought we do that.
Well, that might be an issue. question because maybe it's referencing incorrectly in the FSAR.
And it said he read 371 and it refers back to 2.5 for PBSRS, and they went back to 2.5. I couldn't find. It's just a figure.
Consistency, or maybe you should refer back to 3.7.1 wherever you provided.
Yeah, if I may add to that, the methodology for calculating the PBSRS is covered in 2525.
Okay, you can mention that.
Right.
However,
but the actual thought is shown there because it's not used anywhere else.
Which is fine. Okay, you need to elaborate that a little bit.
Sure. No. I'm a little bit confused. I mean, when you review 371, either you have the figure, you don't have the figure.
I have the figure. We can go all the details, but as soon as they say it is all shown in 2.5, that's where I went.
Oh, so you didn't go thorough.
Yeah. So, but
I think we should also do that. So.
Okay, this is William Wang from NRC. I just have a general comment about the other two REI. So our main concern, by the way, the seismology reviewer is out of town. So anyway, so he may have specific questions. We can leave that to next meeting. The general concern for those REI is how do you cope with the variability of the site? Because you look at the shear wave velocity profile for the other 3D in the boring, there are quite a few notable variations there. So the 1D versus 2D, and how do you determine the more realistic response for this site? That's the key issue here. So just would like to make sure in your response you cope this concern.
No, we do understand that, and previously in the previous round we believe we have addressed that question, and this round we are just updating the response to reflect the change in the rock ground, and we haven't heard any further concerns from NRC on that point. So let us know if there is.
Yeah, when we last spoke with Vlad about this topic, because Becky, I'm not sure if you were there the whole time, but we had lengthy discussions and revisions to REI responses, and we thought you were satisfied, right? As you might. So this is David.
Yeah, I think we come to terms.
Yes, I think we have a mutual understanding, but obviously they're still looking through the response. As we can mention, Vlad's not available today, but on the 15th, I think when you're coming back, he will be available. And so if there are any additional follow-up questions, I'm sure he'll bring them up at that time.
Okay. All right. Subsurface variability, we'll talk about it.
That's correct.
The next REI was for Chapter 371-8, and it asked for the definition, development, and the use of the companion profile. These are the profiles that are developed to reflect the site conditions right next to the building, not in situ condition. The profiles include the structural backfill on top of lean concrete, and they are used in the SSI analysis to reflect the strength compactor properties around the building. And again, the methodology for developing them and the definition, none of those things changed. All that changed was that because now we are using a new motion, we come up with a slightly different design factor and a slightly different weight to go in between the 10-4 and 10-5 results to come up with the strength compatible properties consistent with the FAIRs for each building. There's one figure that shows an example of that, and that figure is updated in the REI response. All other information remains unchanged. Any questions for this?
Yeah, we want to get the 60 simulated string component soil profile. So you provide that.
We go through your questions from last week later, if you don't mind.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. This is Erica calling from Henrico. Where can I find these slides?
I emailed them to you this morning, Erica. Both emails, one I recalled and the other one I sent right afterward.
Okay, it didn't look like it had that much information on it.
Thank you. The next RAI question is 371-11. That is concerning with the modeling basis and control point for FWSC, specifically in light of the foundation of FWSC being supported by lean concrete going all the way to top of Zone 3-4 rock. And in response to the RAI, and also it asked us to explain the differences between FWSC and control building FAIRs. In response, we have provided an additional SSI input response spectra that is used in addition to the FAIRs in the site response analysis. And that SSI input response spectra is calculated at elevation 2. So that response spectra is updated because they're using a new ground motion. They're updated every 2013 GMM. And also there are some comparisons that we showed in terms of uniform hazard response spectra to compare the FWSC and control building FAIRs and explain why there are differences between them. And those are again updated because of this new ground motion. All the other information provided, justifications, they remain unchanged because the next RAI question, I'm sorry, any questions on this one?
I don't know.
Okay. So the next RAI question is RAI 37112, and my colleague, Dr. Nick Greger, will address that.
Okay, thanks, RAI. Can everyone hear me okay?
That's fine, thanks.
Okay, great. So 371-12, RAI response, we've submitted a couple of versions of this and last fall. It basically was dealing with, one, the issue of the low frequency matching, so less than 0.2 hertz, and we, as part of the response submittal, discussed about how the CSDRS spectrum envelopes at the low frequency ends. Then the other things that were requested were some numerical results for the statistical checks of our spectral matching development of the time histories, which we provided. And as well, Vladimir had a comment with regards to the procedural aspect of the spectral matching, whether or not we perform a final baseline correction at the end to make sure we don't have any long period drift, or if you do the integration of the acceleration time history, you wouldn't get a drift in the baseline or in the displacement time history. And we did outline that in our methodology in the response, and we did confirm with Vladimir that we do a baseline correction before we finalize our time histories and before we calculate the statistical checks. So that's consistent. The other thing that we were requested was to provide the digital values for the response spectra, the time histories, and as well the PSD functions, which we did. And then back in December of 2014, we had another call, and we had sort of acceptance of these time histories and the PSD functions by the NRC based on the digital values that we provided. So that's where we stand with RAI 371-12. Are there any questions?
I don't have.
Okay, I think that was my turn, and I'm going to pass it back to, I think, Alidad.
Okay, can everyone hear me on the phone? Okay, I'll move close to the mic. Okay, for RAI 030701-7, we provided a revised response. This was discussed in a phone call with the NRC on the 10th of July of last year, and there were some additional comments, and that's the purpose for the revision. This relates to the extent of backfill and the questions related to the extent of the backfill away from the buildings and toward the pilings. So we added some description of how the fill material is represented in the SSI and the SSSI analyses. We included a technical basis for the approach to address the effects of variation in the extent of horizontal fill as to the seismic response of the seismic Category 1 structures. The REI response describes the extent of backfill, and we provided some sketches to show for each one of the buildings the extent of the backfill. And then we revised the FSAR. We did not revise the figure as the NRC had suggested, but we included a table that has the minimum extent of backfill, which is 1/2 the distance out to the sheet columns, and that's how we treated it in the analysis. Are there any questions?
It's element, the backfill element is part of the structure, right? It's the same model for partial.
They're not included in the partial element.
Okay, Ruben, did you hear that question?
Yes, so that is correct. When we talk about the backfill, there are near-field elements included in the structural house model. Both for the partial embedded, we have the fill concrete included in the models. For the fully embedded cases, we have two near-field elements that model both the fill concrete and the engineered field.
Could you say your name?
And we will,
my name is Ruben Todorovsky.
And that will be explained in the July submittal, how those are modeled. Right.
Okay, this is William Wanda. I would like to clarify that. So what type of material you will use as the backfill under the Cat 1 structure?
Okay, under the Cat 1 structures is concrete fill down to the rock. There is no structural fill backfill used under the Category 1 structures. It's only on the side fill.
This is Jin Sonia from NRC. Relating to the backfill, do you have any reinforcement for the concrete fill, especially for the field water storage concept?
Okay, Ruben, did you hear the question?
Yes, we don't anticipate any any reinforcement in the field concrete. Just field concrete, plain concrete.
Any more questions on 3717? Okay, well, I'll cover 372-11. Just related to the SSI input control motions for the control building. And we revised the REI response to reflect the use of the 2013 updated GMM. And the figures that were attached to the REI response are all revised. The other change that we made to the REI response was we added information about the potential for shear keys under the control building to assist with the lateral pressure resistance. Does anyone have any questions on that?
So currently it is not there, right? There is no keys underneath the...
That's correct. The standard design does not have shear keys for the control building.
So you'll be adding now, so that is a design change.
That is a design change, and we will clarify that for sure in the July submittal. We still say if needed, and so we will have a clarification by the time we have the July submittal.
So is that the DCD change or COL change?
It's a COL change for North Anna.
It will be part of the departure
from DCD.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It will be described in the departure.
So that would determine not the site-specific basis. So that so for other sites, I guess you could do anything about that.
Right. That's correct. There was no shear key required for the control building for Fermi 3.
And what about Firewater? There is something.
The Firewater Service Complex and the reactor buildings already have shared key.
Already.
That's part of the standard design.
This is Jim Sunny from NRC. The applicant confirm whether DCD have any concrete fill. DCD don't have.
You mean under the building?
Under the building, yeah.
No, I don't think so. Ruben, can you confirm that there's no concrete fill under the buildings in the DCD?
No. I mean, the DCD design is based on the genetic profiles, which are considered to be in situ.
That's why we have the shared key now, because of the concrete fill.
Potentially.